Hello, beautiful people. This is Molly. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the noise right now. I am taking you guys with me on my walk to the beach this morning simply because I have been guided to do so. For those of you who don't know, I live a couple blocks from the Gulf of Mexico, and that in itself has been a wonderful, wonderful experience. I've really built a relationship with the ocean, so to speak. And it was calling to me this morning. And buenos dias. Just yesterday, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Miss Remy's Healings. All one word. It's a YouTube channel. She is a beautifully, beautifully gifted person. And just somebody who's really, really great to follow. So if you guys have never checked out her channel, please do that. Just last night, I was watching her Taurus reading. And by the way, you guys, if I'm off camera, if this camera angle is all wrong, I apologize. Like I said, I'm walking, I got sunglasses on, I can't really see the screen. And also, here in Mexico, you really have to watch where you're walking because the sidewalks and streets are very, very, very chaotic at times. So nonetheless, Miss Remy's Taurus reading, there was a reference to morning water. And I'm sitting out back of my house in my little baby garden that I'm trying to grow, sipping on my coffee, and I just got that vibe. I got that hit, you know, sort of that download. The ocean was like, Smalley, come enjoy the morning water and bring your people with you. And so that's where we are now. Hi, puppy. Hola, perito. Buenos dias. And so, yeah, I'm taking you guys on my walk with me to the beach. There are actually a couple different spots on the beach that I can access pretty easily from my home. The reason why we're going on this particular path today is because of the colors. All right, this is what I call the orange block. All right, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. There's this house right here. Look at all this orange. Oh my gosh, and wait till we get around the corner. There's just so many orange houses on this block, and it reminds me of the sacral chakra, which has a lot to do with water, okay, and the womb and motherhood and creation and storage of memory. Pardon me, please. A storage of memory, which is what the water does. All right, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I have so many downloads here. I'm just gonna kind of stream of consciousness it for you guys. Okay. So I think it was about a year and a half ago that the water began to speak to me. I think that was just shortly after the trees began to speak to me, and quite a bit before my spirit guides led me to encounter fairy energy. So we're talking about elementals. We're talking about the consciousness that exists. Oh, that's gorgeous. So you guys, look at this house. It's for rent. Isn't that beautiful? I'm about to tell my friend about that. She's looking for a place. Nonetheless, fairy energy, the trees, the water. Consciousness is everywhere, you guys. And it's only been within the last, I'm going to say year and a half, 2 years, that I actually believed in the fact that these forms of consciousness could communicate with us, right? So if you're not already listening to the air and the trees and the water, this is an invitation to do so. In fact, I feel like a big part of what I'm being asked to do right now is to introduce people to some of the tools that I use or that I'm aware of for connecting with non-human forms of consciousness, okay? Is that where we're gonna go next? Yes, Spirit says that's where we should go next. So for instance, I do a lot of coaching on mastering the inner space, okay? And learning how to trust the information. Oh God, you guys, the ocean's right there. Every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, swoon. We have another orange house here. Here we go. And some more orange, sacral chakra energy, the storage of memory, okay? Nonetheless, the inner world. Mastering the inner world. We are raised in a society that tells us not to trust what's in here. We have to trust what's out here. We have to trust what has been verified and cataloged and not what we see in here. Do you know what I mean? It's almost as like we have been taught that in order for something to be true, it must be able to be validated in some objective way, okay? So by society, by the powers that be, by the authority figures of the world. And I'm not just talking about political authority, but intellectual authority, all right? So what I like to do is coach people on how to tap into their inner space and the information that's coming from the inner space. I just want to make sure this combi knows I'm not trying to get on it. And how to trust that. You know what I mean? Like, how do we, now that we know that we've had all these layers subconsciously and socially programmed, okay, here we go, onto our psyche that tell us not to trust our inner world, how do we begin to peel those layers back and gain trust in our inner world? You guys want to see it? Are you ready? I cannot see the camera, but hopefully you guys can see the ocean right behind me. That's where we're going. And last time I tried to come down to this particular spot, there was a whole bunch of dogs, so fingers crossed, okay? Fingers crossed. I grew up with big dogs, but I did have kind of a negative experience with a pack of dogs here back in June. So I'm always very careful. All right, you guys, sorry to be all over the place, but check this out. I'm talking about this orange, this sacral. Look what we have here. This is some beautiful crown chakra energy. And of course, all of the green is the heart. All of the green is the heart. And just as I'm saying that, this beautiful color of ocean that we have in front of us is coming out to me as high heart and throat chakra energy. Okay? I'm just stream of consciousnessing it today and just kind of sharing the downloads with you as they come to me. All right? So, how do we begin to build trust in our own inner space, in our inner voice, but also in our support system that is not easily, okay, we do have dogs, but they look really sweet. Okay, and they have a person. So how do we begin to trust in our spiritual support team? Hi, puppy. Hi, sweetie. ¿Cómo estás? Hola. Hola, peritos. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dogs. When I run into animals, I don't know if they're English speaking or Spanish speaking animals, so my immediate intuition is to say hello to them, and then I usually try to follow that up with an hola, just to make sure. Okay, you guys, we're here at the ocean, and I am gonna sit in the shade right here. This is a beautiful home, doors are open, somebody's there, so I definitely don't want to be bothersome. Pardon my hair, by the way, I know it's a total mess. We're just gonna ignore that right now. Look at this, you guys. Here we go, this is my ocean, not mine, but this is my particular spot on the ocean. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit pause so I can set up a blanket, maybe find a spot where I won't be bothering anybody at all, and I'll get right back on with you guys. Okay, I'm back. So the lighting is not great on me, but I found a beautiful spot in the shade, and I want you guys to see the ocean, so I had to go ahead and set up this way. Nonetheless, let me go ahead and get my thoughts focused so that I can kind of deliver the message that wants to come through today. Spirit really, really, really wants to respond to you guys, to tell you the truth. This is a response to your calls, to the calls of my collective that are out there saying, how do we get in touch with our intuition? How do we get in touch with our spirit guides? How do we begin to build that relationship? Okay, so what they're letting me know is that the best way for you to do that, the best first step, and I know I've mentioned this on my channel before, is to create a sacred space within your mind, within your meditations, that you can go to, all right? And you are the boss of your inner world, Okay, that's the bottom line. That's the major lesson that I want everybody to know. All right, because that's the biggest way in which we have been coaxed into giving up our power, is to lose faith in our inner world, to take authority and sovereignty of our inner world and turn it over to this objective reality and say, you know what, I don't actually trust what's going on in here. I need validation from something outside of me. All right, that's the way in which our power has been stripped from us. One way in which our power has been stripped from us by the particular society that is dominant in the world today. They got me all over the place, you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience with me. So where were we at? You're the boss of your inner world, okay? So when you lay down in meditation, create for yourself, just imagine. When I say create, that means imagine. Whatever you imagine, trust it, okay? Don't question it, don't pick it apart. Don't look for logistics or objective, anything that you can verify objectively. Just go ahead and let it be a subjective experience. Go into meditation, create for yourself a sacred space. What is a space that you feel safe in? And please trust that whatever image comes to your mind, even if you don't feel like you created it, okay? You guys, these glasses, all right? We got it? Okay. So, maybe it's a beach. Maybe it's a forest. I have a beautiful mossy forest. I have a beautiful clearing in a forest, and there's some rocks and there's trees, and the way that the sunlight shines down through the boughs of the tree is just really, really beautiful and sacred. And there's flowers, of course, deer, like it's very Disney princessy, okay? I get there and the rabbits and the birds show up, and that is a place that I can go to. And because I've created it in my mind, I can set the rules for that space. And the rules for that space is that is a space for me and my guides. Only those guides that have my highest good in mind, okay? And when you create a place like that and surround it with bright, white, beautiful love light, that's all that can penetrate that space, okay? So this is not just me saying, hey, you guys, I tried this once and it worked. This is Spirit coming in very, very strongly at this time saying, hey guys, we want to talk to you. We know that you want us to do that. So this is one way in which you can kind of open up that dialogue, if it's something that you haven't already done, to just go ahead and create that sacred space in your mind. It's a mental space, and it's okay if it's a little different every time you go back to it, right? But go to that space and let your guides know that that's what that space is for. All right. And that is definitely going to be something that's going to help you to begin to just trust your own intuition, right? To trust what's going on in your inner space. If you're needing help, if you're needing validation, if you're needing answers, go ahead and just ask them in that space, okay? Or ask them, set that intention that that's the conversation that you want to have as you go into meditation, you go into that space. And it's okay if you don't stay conscious throughout that entire process. Sometimes I get into the space, I put my question out there, and then, you know, I let myself doze off because I know that my subconscious mind is doing all of the work, all right? So it's okay if you're not conscious through that entire process, but do know that you're the authority of your inner space, okay? So we are reclaiming sovereignty over our intuition, okay? Over our imagination, over our ability to create, to transmute, to transform, to evolve, to heal, all right? We are all the bosses of that for each of ourselves, okay? All right. There's the message, okay? Another thing that they're saying is talk to nature. They're like, we are here. We're in the rocks, we're in the plants, we're in the trees, we're in the ocean, we're in the lakes, and we're in the rivers. And they do kind of want me to share that experience with you. I said it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago that these things started talking to me. I think my first experience was with the juniper trees. I went on a walk This is all back when I was in Kansas. I went on a walk to a trail. It's kind of like near a dog park. I wasn't really aware of the trail, but in a group, somebody posted a picture of this cute little waterfall, just teeny tiny little waterfall, maybe a couple of feet. And I was like, ooh, I gotta go see that. I really gotta go see that. So I went and I found this waterfall, and you had to go on this trail through the woods to get to it that was adjacent to the dog park. So I did see a couple dogs out there. And oh my gosh, that whole wood is just full of juniper trees, and it felt like a homecoming of sorts, okay? And in fact, what I was gonna say is a thought that kind of escaped me when I was talking about setting up your mental space. When I say trust the image that comes in, understand that you've done this in previous lifetimes, okay? And so if a space appears to you, as long as it feels safe and it feels comfortable, trust that that might even be an imagined space that resembles an actual physical space that you occupied in a past life when you had a much closer connection with spirit and guides, because you lived at a time where your society allowed that connection, okay, and encouraged and fostered that relationship. All right, but nonetheless, oh my gosh, just this forest of juniper trees really spoke to me in a very deep, like past life kind of way. And I found that I could receive messages from the trees, messages of comfort, messages of wisdom. I mean, these big old trees have so much knowledge, so much wisdom, but also so much compassion. Do you know what I mean? I was actually able to take a lot of the real heavy energy that I was feeling and ask these trees if I could just kind of leave it with them. And they're like, bet, that's what we're here for. We can do that for you. All right? So talk to the trees, you guys. They are there for you. I know it kind of sounds crazy. If I was dependent on some sort of objective reality to validate that for me, I would not believe that trees could talk, all right? But because I learned how to trust my own inner space, I believe that trees can talk, okay? They can talk to me, they can talk to you, they can help to unburden you when you're going through a lot. In fact, I've said that too in so many of my guidance and healing sessions, is anytime you feel like you've just got too much, if you feel like you're getting too many downloads, go talk to a tree about it, okay? They will literally store that energy or information, help to store it in the earth, so that when you're ready to receive it, it comes right up through your foot and your root chakras. Okay, so it's like the earth is almost like, it's like there's this cloud, right? When I say cloud, I mean like, you know, digital storage space that we receive the downloads from. And then sometimes we get those downloads and it's like, this is so much. What do I even do with this? You can take anything, any energy that you're carrying, and actually ask the earth, ask the trees to just hold on to that for you, okay? By the way, the trees are sort of a medium between us and the earth. That is a role that they play. They are there to help foster that relationship, okay? It's just a message I've gotten from my guides. And at the time, oh my God, look you guys, there's this huge, beautiful pelican. I think it's a pelican flying this way. I really hope I catch it on camera. They're just so majestic the way that they glide. Here he comes, here he comes, here he comes. Don't look, wait. Look, is he gonna, wait. There we go. Barely, just barely. Okay, anyways, I freaking love the seagulls. Not the seagulls, seagulls are different. I do love the seagulls, but that's a pelican. And they're not the most aesthetically pleasing birds, but I really do love them a lot. Hold on a second. Okay, I had a message come in. All right, you guys, where were we? The trees. You can talk to the trees. Talk to the trees. They are there for you, okay? Birds are also really message carriers in a big way as well. So just be aware of that, okay? But Spirit's like, yo, we give you signs left and right if you're willing to just be open to them and accept them, okay? Spirit is saying we give you signs left and right, okay? there's a little lizard that's kind of watching me right now, and I wonder is that a sign? I don't know. You got to believe in it, okay? For me, everything is a sign. Everything is a sign. And so it's really beautiful when you can come to recognize that, all right? The more I understand about the cosmos and the universe and the nature of all that exists, I realize that nothing ever just has one meaning. Nothing. Okay? The as above, so below, as within, so without, it reverberates, all right? And in fact, on so many levels that we can't even be aware of, all right? But Spirit's saying, listen, you can talk to the trees. Pay attention to what's going on with the animals around you. Even insects can be signs and symbols and messages for you. But rocks, also rocks, you guys. Rocks. You can touch the rocks. The rocks hold memory, okay? And if you set an intention, you can call upon Spirit to help you extract that data, that information from the rocks, okay? Rocks hold a lot of memory, all right? So another channel that I watch a lot, Russell and Around. Russell's here in the Yucatan as well, and he had gone to Chichen Itza, and I think Mayapan is his next stop. And what I like about Mayapan, and I haven't been there yet, but Mayapan it's a set of Mayan ruins in the area, is that you can actually, unlike Chichen Itza, you can actually touch the stones. You can like climb on the stones, you can touch the stones. And so I have a message that at some point in time when I'm ready for it, I will be able to lay my hands on those stones and receive my past life memories as a Mayan here in the Yucatan Peninsula, okay? I'm actually really, really, really anxiously awaiting the reopening, whenever that happens, of Zibil Shatun, which is the Mayan ruins that are nearest to me. And there's actually a cenote at that site as well. The name Zibil Shatun, which starts with a D and then a Z, so if you guys want to Google it, is the place where things were written on stones. And there's just something about that lets me know that there's memories there in those stones for me to extract, okay? So aside from visiting these ancient sites, just rocks in general, please do know the earth, the dirt, the soil, the sand, okay? It's consciousness, and it's consciousness that is there to support us and our evolution and our ascension, okay? So we got trees, we got animals, we got rocks, baby dolls. That's where we get to water. Okay, this is salt water here. And this, by the way, when I am in this, now I kind of want to look at it. So you get to we're going to look at it together. Let's look at the ocean together. Isn't it beautiful? When I am in this water, first of all, the salt water is very, 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 very cleansing. So I always get my chakras, my upper chakras taken care of. I like to I do this little ritual where I kind of, dip the crown 7 times to just kind of go ahead and cleanse my aura, cleanse my energy. When I'm out there in the water and the wind is blowing, it's almost like I can feel it moving through my chakras. But what's really, really beautiful about this is her vastness. Do you know that? Like, there's this water molecule that just splashed up on this beach. And then there's the water molecules that just splashed up on a beach in Japan, and they're all adjacent to one another, okay? So the ocean is a tremendous cloud. Okay, remember I was talking about the cloud up there where we receive messages from spirit, or we get our downloads, and sometimes it's too much, so we have to kind of store it into the cloud of the earth, because Gaia is a consciousness, okay? The earth is a consciousness. This ocean is a consciousness. It's a vast consciousness, and it is a very, very healing and supportive consciousness. But what happened shortly after my first conversations with the trees is I was out having a little swim in the nearby lake. This is back in Kansas. And I started to realize that I was getting these little mini downloads every time I was swimming in the lake. And it really made me turn my consciousness to the lake itself and to realize that the lake was speaking to me. The river, the Kaw River, which ran just a few blocks from my home, I would say, yeah, I'm about as close to the ocean now as I was to the river at my old place when I lived back in Kansas, okay? And I didn't visit it that often, okay? Like, it was just there for a long time, and then I started getting these messages to go down to the river. And understand, okay? Water is consciousness, and this water, oh my Lord, it's a very, very powerful healing, cleansing, specifically the ocean. It's a very, very cleansing consciousness that we can engage with, and we are encouraged to, okay? Aw, I love her so much. She is really just the message that I'm getting from the ocean at this time to share with you guys is just one of love and acceptance. And just like, you are my children is what she's saying to me. You, all of you out there, okay, she's like, you guys are my children. I'm always here for you. I'm never going to be mad at you. I'm never going to reject you. Right? Like that kind of mom vibe. So it's a really, really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy, okay? And it's a big part of why I'm here, right? There's no oceans in Kansas. I don't know if you guys know that. Look at them up, okay? So the ocean called me here, but also the underground rivers did as well. That's something I miss about the terrain of the Yucatan Peninsula. It's very flat, just like Kansas, but there are no above ground rivers. Okay, but there is underneath this earth the world's largest underground river. Okay, that, oh my Lord, because of its relationships with the Mayan people for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, the underground river here at the Yucatan is a storage place for so many magical memories. It stores memories that it would like to share with us. It stores insights, right? Healing. Oh my God, that water is so, I don't know how to say it, but whenever I get out of a cenote, my aura is just crystal clear and sparkly and beautiful. And then there's, of course, the sensory experience. The air and the environment here on the Yucatan is just always very, very hot. Those cenotes are ice cold, and I freaking love that. All right, because what it does is it changes up your what's going on in your cells. All right, it makes you pause and just be in your body in that moment. Okay, I love it. I love the experience of cenotes, and I really, really, really want to get to some more very, 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 very soon. So the cenotes, what else are we here to talk about? Lady of the Lake, they want me to talk about the Lady of the Lake energy. The Lady of the Lake energy, actually, what is the name of that book? It is called A Wizard's Guide to Energy Healing, and I apologize that I can't think of the author right now. But he talks about the Lady of the Lake as almost being like the same consciousness that we associate with the Virgin Mary and Isis and Ishtar and all of those mother goddesses, okay? That if there's a collective that all of those belong to, it is personified by the Lady of the Lake. Because there's this one tarot deck that has the Nine of Cups is the Lady of the Lake. And I'm seeing that right now. Okay? But it's almost, okay, let's unpack this message that's coming in. So they're showing me the Lady of the Lake, and she's coming out of the water. She is surrounded by birds, and she's coming out of the water and showing up almost as a sort of wish fulfillment. Okay, they're letting me know that this is very strongly tied to the superstition of throwing a coin. I didn't know that. Okay, they're letting me know that once upon a time people would throw rocks, maybe shells. I don't know. I'm holding onto this little tiny shell into the river to make wishes. Like that's an ancient superstition. Okay, but that there is reason to it. Okay, it's a superstition because it cannot be verified by any sort of objective intellectual authority. All right, but it's a truth because you can go and you can feel that and you can experience it. All right, so that's the message from Spirit today. They're just like, we love you guys, we love you so much. I feel like the and this is a Now I'm talking about a huge collective. When I talk about the collective consciousness that I channel, that is essentially the consciousness of the Christ consciousness grid. All right, it's like it's a grid around the earth. It's the ascension grid. I know people not everybody loves it when you start talking about Jesus. But Christ doesn't have to mean specifically Jesus. Okay, Buddha the Christ, Muhammad the Christ, Christian of the Christ. All right. If we think of Christness as just the next evolution, the next stage in spiritual evolution of the human soul, of the human, like what we're going through now. Okay, and I talk about this message that I've been getting consistently from my guides, that it's a shift from being solar plexus centered beings to being heart centered beings. All right, so it's almost like we have been given models of what that looks like. All right, and so that heart centered human being is a Christ. All right, little c Christ. Can we do that? Little c Christ. You guys okay with that? Jesus is just all right with me, but I know a lot of people aren't super duper comfortable with that terminology. There's somebody out taking a walk on the beach. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, it's probably not my concern. Let's just ignore it. Okay. That's who's talking to me now. Okay, that's who's talking to me now. They're here. And actually we can see like a little bit of a half moon up here in the sky, which is really beautiful. They're like, we love you. Okay, and it's like okay, have you ever been in a situation where somebody's telling you about what they've been through? You know, you're just kind of holding space and you're like, oh my God, I can't imagine what it's like to go through that, but I can imagine how difficult it must be. And that's what Spirit wants to relay to you guys, okay? Because there are a lot of our guides, a lot of the consciousness out there that are, I don't know if they've never been in this incarnation before, in this particular earth plane 3D reality, or if it's just that they've lived so many other incarnations that it's hard to remember what that's like, okay? But they understand how very, very limiting and restricting it can feel to be consciousness trapped in a human body, in a human life, okay? And I say trapped, but you guys know we came here ourselves, okay? We chose this. But we've got an amazing support system, an amazingly compassionate support system in Spirit, and it's literally everywhere, okay? It's not everywhere. They came and interrupted me, because the further you get from nature, the harder it is to hear that space. The less space is belongs to Spirit, belongs to nature, belongs to the earth, okay? So if you're in like a high rise in a really, really, really busy city and you're like, what are you talking about? I don't see any nature spirits around here. Just understand, it is a basic essential human need to be able to connect with nature, and especially for those who are seeking spiritual evolution. Okay, you got to go be with nature. Nature is inviting you. Nature is imploring you. And in fact, the energy that I'm getting from the nature spirits, from Spirit, from the ocean, from the Christ consciousness grid at this time is one of just joy and relief that I was able to deliver this message to you guys today. So are we going to keep it going? They want me to talk about the stones. I can talk a little bit about my Mayan experiences. Let me get a sip of water, okay, you guys? And I'll talk about my experiences, and I will probably timestamp this, okay? Ah, man. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I was in a little bit of a stuck place. And then yesterday, something happened. And I just made all these realizations. I've been crying, releasing things, being honest with myself about ways in which maybe I've not been standing up for myself, not speaking my mind, the ways in which I'm settling for less. Just, little things like that, right? Conversations that I'm having with myself. And it's weird because man, that is crazy. I got you, Spirit. I got you. I'll talk about that. I just did that reading about seeing through the ego. And I think that's what needed to happen for me, okay? I had a little bit of an ego block. And now that has been removed, Spirit is like, whoosh, here are all the messages we've been holding on to for you guys. It's like I just came home. Do you guys remember answering machines, okay? I feel like I just came home from vacation and I've got like 14 messages on my answering machine. All right, so they would like me to share with you the information that I have received in my conversation with the Mayans. And I'll talk about the crystals, and then they want me to get in the water. And I want to get in the water too. So I wish I could take you guys. I actually do have a waterproof camera case. I'm going to see. Maybe. I don't know. No promises. I might take you in the ocean with me, okay? That would be kind of fun if I was just sitting out there. If it weren't like super bright in the sun, I would just take you guys out there. I don't know if the microphone would work through the plastic though. But nonetheless, let me stop rambling and get to it. My stones. Oh my God, you guys. I spent way too much money on these crystals, okay? I got 2 of them. They're around my neck. And then I was kicking myself because I can't believe we're already at the end of September, but on September 1st, I moved into a new home. There's this little 4-plex, and I moved just from one house in the 4-plex to another. Identical home, mirror image, but this one's mine. I was staying in somebody else's home essentially while they were away. And in that move, I misplaced these 2 stones that together I spent literally hundreds of dollars on. Okay. I made sure that I didn't get ripped off. Like I went and I looked these up online, and they are very, very, you know, they're not cheap, okay? They're not cheap rocks, okay? But these are 2 stones that I lost. Dude, like I lost. You know how it is when you're moving and you just like, I gotta tell you what, I have probably just enough possessions to fill the back of like a tiny pickup truck. I don't have a lot of stuff with me, right? I left everything back. I just got rid of it before I came here. And I lost these stones. I found them at the bottom of a jewelry bag, of like my makeup bag, okay? But when I moved, I couldn't find them, and I was kind of kicking myself, like, Molly, you literally just kind of lost these really, really, really expensive stones, but also very important stones. They're sacred to the Mayan people. There's 2 of them, and I will introduce them to you now, because I found them this morning, and it's just one of those things that Spirit was like, hey, don't you want to do this before you leave to go to the beach? And then I went, and it was there. These were in the bag, at the bottom of the bag, hiding. The same bag as the thing that Spirit was like, hey, why don't you go do this? Okay, so I got led to these this morning by Spirit. I love it. And they are meant to balance your energy body. I didn't realize this until I had a conversation with a descendant of the Mayans here in Merida. I'm in Progreso. Merida's very nearby, all right? So once on a day trip to Merida, this guy came up to me and we just kind of started chatting. Hey guys, give me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, I think I actually wanna, there we go, now I can see you guys. Hi, okay, back. So I was just kind of walking around. This was like my day trip to Merida. I was just walking around, like exploring the Centro area. And this guy, you guys, Yucatecans are so nice. They're so friendly. Like they'll just come up and start chatting with you, you know, if they think you might speak a little Spanish. Okay, so I do want to say before I go into this that this whole conversation that I had, I ended up chilling with this dude for like 2.5 hours. Okay, and we talked so much about Mayan history and Mayan beliefs, but the whole conversation was in Spanish, which is not a language that I'm super fluent in. And so if any of my understandings of what was communicated to me are a little bit off, please understand that that's where that came from. Okay, but nonetheless, he just came up to me and just kind of started chit-chatting with me. He's a teacher, and it was summer vacation. This was back, I think this was back in June. And he was a teacher, summer vacation. So dudes just kind of chill at the park, right? And chat all day. And he had approached me and just kind of started talking about history. And we started talking about the cathedral that was adjacent to this park that we were hanging out in. And he actually led me to the other side of the cathedral to show me a lot of the cathedrals, you guys, in this area, the Catholic churches that were built by the colonizers were actually built out of the same stones of the temples, the Mayan temples that they destroyed. So what he showed me was these two stones, and I think it was Parque Santa Lucia, and it was the Church of Santa Lucia, I believe, okay? On the side of it, there are these two stones where you can see the carvings, all right? Like if you guys have been to the Mayan ruins, you see like everything is carved. There's messages, there's symbols, there's stories carved into all of the stones, okay? And that has a lot to do with the memories that they hold. Oh my God, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for that breakthrough. Okay, all right. So nonetheless, there's these two stones on the side of the church that you can see the Mayan carvings. And one particular stone had these carvings that represented the sun, and the carvings represented the moon, okay? So this is related to a concept that I had already been introduced to by Sergio Magana, okay? He is a I believe, Toltec shaman. I'm gonna call him a shaman. And he works with, I did an obsidian mirror workshop with him. He just does some amazing work. So look him up, Sergio Magana, Magana, all right? You can find him on Facebook, probably on YouTube, but really amazing resource if you're interested in this particular topic. He talks about the tonal and the nuahal, which are the two parts of the human psyche. It's your sun and your moon sign. Think about it that way, okay? So the sun is our personality, and then the moon is the inner world, okay? The masculine and the feminine, all right? And the tonal, I believe, I hope I'm saying this right, is the sun, masculine, outer self, all right? And the nuahal is the inner moon, feminine aspect, okay? And a lot of the sort of shamanistic work that the Mayans were interested in focused on getting to know your nuahal, your inner self, okay? And it was represented by an animal, all right? So everybody has, like, their nuahal is symbolized by an animal. I'm seeing a jaguar right now. That is really interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder if that's mine. Because your job, the objective is to discover what animal is your nuahal, okay? This has to do with the rocks on my neck, I promise you. Let me get there, okay? And that is just a really beautiful concept to me, right? Okay, so it's very interesting, but it's an ancient Mayan concept, ancient Mexican, because the Aztecs, the Toltecs, I'm not sure about the Olmecs, right? All have very similar beliefs about these two aspects of the self, okay? And about bringing them into balance, but the main thing is really being in touch with and connected to and understanding your nuahal. It's almost like your shadow side, okay? So when we talk about shadow work, if this is a particular way that can help you, if this particular notion can help you with your shadow work, kind of imagine that's what you're doing, that you're trying to identify what animal are you on the inside, and then kind of befriending that animal, okay, bringing them in, the shadow, in the integration of the shadow, of the subconscious mind, maybe even of the ego. I don't know. No, the ego is more tonal. Okay, interesting. Working this all out, okay? Nonetheless, it was really interesting because there was this point where he just looks at me and he's like, ¿Crees tú en energía? Do I believe in energy? Yeah, I believe in energy. And I started talking to him about the fact that I have actually been working on acquiring knowledge and skills in the area of energy healing. So he and I talked for a long time. He asked, do I believe in energy? And that's really when it got good. And he told me that the Mayans, he claimed, are the only ancient culture that used stones for healing. Okay, and now, okay, like my eyes are all lit up, like, oh my God, I love crystals. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So there are two stones that are considered sacred to the Mayans that represent the tonal and the noahal. So I've got them around my neck. Like I said, they cost a lot of money, but I love them. I love them. This is a amber azul. And I wonder if I can, let's get this done, show you guys the effect at all. That if you look at this is amber, and there's a blue tint to it. I really, really doubt that I can get that to show up on screen, okay? Blue amber represents the tonal, okay? Am I right? I might have these backwards, you guys. This might be the noahal. I have to look it up. I'm so sorry. I'm just saying right now, disclaimer, I might be a little wrong on this, okay? Because I feel like it's the opposite of what I wanted it to be. Maybe the imperial jade is what represents the tonal. This is the imperial jade, and I gotta take this off because I have to show you the infinity spiral, because we're all familiar with the infinity, the luminescent that just looks like a sideways 8. But can you imagine if you just let it twist around one more time before it came back together? You get this beautiful, beautiful spiral. I actually made a friend, Wanda, if you're out there, hello. I've been telling Wanda that I have one of these because she has a white one. Okay, I believe it's white jade, and it's this same shape. And when I first met her and I saw this around her neck, I said something to her about it, and she leaned in and she says, "Eres una bruja? Are you a witch?" And I just knew we were going to be friends. So, yeah, so you have these two stones, okay? One representing the inner self, one the outer self, one the sun, one the moon, one the masculine, one the feminine, one the tonal, and one the noahal. And it was just so awesome because he actually walked me to the place where I could find this stone, where I could purchase these. And at first I thought, man, they really, really, really did a number on me. But in the end, I sat and I meditated on it and decided that I had not been ripped off. These are just really expensive stones. I'm a gringa. I have access. Basically, if you are a person of pale complexion in this area, which is a very economically depressed area, there is an assumption that you have access to dollars, to a different economy, and therefore prices are just going to be a little bit higher. If you know how to speak Spanish, you can work that out, okay? Just let you know. Anybody who wants to go to Mexico, always have to do your bargaining in Spanish, okay? You want to get the local prices and not the gringo prices, okay? So anyways, I'll get to that part in just a second. So he started talking to me about these beautiful stones, and he then talking to me about energy healing with these stones and timeline healing. I had no idea that that was an ancient Mayan belief. But this guy was talking to me about how, and it was really interesting because this day was just magical. Okay, when I got done with this day, I was like, oh my God, how did all these synchronicities just come together? And you have to understand, spirit was at work. Spirit was definitely involved here. Okay. Nonetheless, let me get focused. This is what it's like having a conversation with the Gemini moon, you guys, okay? Let's be honest about that. I'm all over the place. And it's Libra season, so get off my back about it. So he started talking to me about timeline healing. He's like, oh yeah, you can take these two stones and put one in one hand and put one in the other and go into the cenotes. And he talked about like past life healing, healing past life relationships. He said if there is somebody who you care very, very, very much about and they're going through something and you want to be able to offer them healing, which is also something that Sergio Magana, a lot of his healing modalities, he really promotes healing the people that we love, with or without their knowledge or consent. It's okay. But he started talking about he said, you know, you can just go sit. And then the guy who sold me these stones told me basically a similar thing. This was a synchronicity. He said, go sit on the ocean, go sit in the cenote, and play a movie in your mind of your life backwards. Every day of your life going backwards until you get to the point that needs healed. And then you can heal it and release it, right? Timeline healing, like I talk about soul retrieval and timeline healing all the time. It is a beautiful tool that I have used to heal my own trauma, my own past life trauma, and this life trauma, okay? All right, I don't know if you guys know that I have suffered pretty severely from post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of the death experience that I had at age 17. I do not call it a near-death experience because I did actually die. So I'm not gonna play about that, okay? It was a death experience. But nonetheless, he talked about timeline healing. He talked about healing the people that we love. He talked about healing past lives. It was just really this very, very, very fascinating conversation. And then he was like, oh, you know, I can show you this place. There's this one place. Don't go to these other places because they'll rip you off. Go to this one place and they'll get you a really, really good deal on these stones. So he decided to walk me to the place, but I was hungry, and so we stopped and got some conchinita pibil on the way. I bought him some agua de chaya, and we just kind of sat and talked. Like, this guy talked to me like we were old friends, like we were just family. Jorge, I believe, was his name. And then he walked me to this store, and he's like, that guy right there, go tell that guy that you want some imperial jade and some amber azul. I just saw a seagull, like, dive in and get his breakfast. So he said, go talk to that guy. All right, so, and have a nice day. We said goodbyes. And I went and I talked to the guy. I believe his name is Manuel. And I just walked in and I said, hello, I'm looking specifically, and it's this beautiful gemstone. It's called El Mundo Maya, and it's in Centro down in Merida. So definitely go check it out. Actually, my friend Wanda had a very similar experience there. But I go to this guy and I'm like, hey, I'm looking specifically for imperial jade and amber azul. And his eyes lit up and he was like, come with me. And it's just beautiful, kind of fancy gem shop, silvers, jewelry, pretty expensive stuff, right? And he takes me upstairs where it's like dark and he's turning on all the lights, and he takes me upstairs through a couple rooms to the back of the store, and he shows me where they've got they've got these two crystals, and he just, like, we just start talking. Like, I had run into somebody earlier in the day who like, I was shopping, and they have these little silver pendants that have the sort of Mayan zodiac signs on it, and I saw a pendant there that was the Arbol de Vida, the tree of life, is the symbol for my particular zodiac sign in Mayan astrology. And he asked me when my birthday was, and he got out a book and he looked it up and he told me my moon sign, and he's like, oh my gosh, that's my moon sign too, which by the way is Bats, B-A'-A-T-S, and its symbol, I believe, is a monkey. It's just like a fun day, all right? And so we had a conversation about that, and this guy gives me a whole, like, past life reading. He tells me about my past life as a Mayan. He said, you had so many children. You had so many children. He said, I bet you in this life you have one or no children. And it's true. I have one adult son. And he just really, really, I mean, this guy gave me a full energy healing. He asked me if that would be okay, and I laid down on the ground and he gave me the stones. I had obsidiana dorado. Actually, I wish I had that with me. It's this beautiful silvery obsidian. It's like the Spanish word makes it sound like golden obsidian, but it's gray. It's very it's not quite silver because it's a lot darker, okay? But it's almost like a gunmetal gray. It's really, really beautiful. And I had purchased one of those earlier in the day. But he pulls out one of his obsidians, and what's really interesting to me, actually, is the way that he approached the energy healing was, he said, you know, there's 21 chakras. I was supposed to wear these both for 21 days to help balance them out, but I don't think I made it through the sequence, okay? But nonetheless, he said we're going to focus on 3 major centers, like the lower, the middle, and the upper. And it was just really interesting to me because it's so very similar to the Celtic notion of the 3 cauldrons of the energy system. I'm just going to put that out there if you guys want to do some research into it. It's just basically lower, middle, and upper. And so the obsidian went on my root chakra, and I had, I believe, I don't remember which one I had on my heart chakra, and then one, of course, here on, I think it was my 3rd eye. I don't remember if it was my 3rd eye or my crown. But I laid down, and I do that in meditation all the time. I put crystals on my chakras to help balance them out, cleanse them, open them, whatever it is that's needed. And then he got out like this giant horn, and he was playing the horn, so it was like a sound healing. He popped my back, did some sort of crazy chiropractic stuff, and it was really, really beautiful and spontaneous, and he was just so open and just wonderful about the entire thing. I got his card. He actually told me that I am welcome to join him anytime to go visit his particular Mayan village and his family there, which is something that I'd really like to do in the very near future. But then at the end, because you know when you're shopping for crystals, rocks, okay, if you're tuned into your intuition, you don't get to choose them, they choose you. So I chose the ones that I wanted, and then I went to go check out, and they were going to charge me like an actual physical arm and leg for these stones. So we negotiated, and he told the lady at the counter, you know, hey, this is an actual energy healer. She's going to be using these for good. It's not just a souvenir. And that's what kind of made me be like, oh my God, did I just get ripped off? Did I just get taken for like a ride? And I think it was, you know, I think it was a very obvious, like an earnest, honest, and authentic conversation and interaction, but also it's his job to sell these rocks. So in the end, I realized I probably wasn't taken for a ride. I decided to just go ahead and trust the experience, okay? To go ahead and trust the experience. And it was really, really beautiful. And like I said, I wore these around for a while. When I do my meditations with them, it is exceptionally cleansing. It is exceptionally, like, it just feels good. Like I wake up kind of like radiating and vibrating at this really, really beautiful frequency. And so I guess they just wanted me to talk about these. And of course the tonal and the nohal. And that's just some of the stuff that I've learned about Mayan beliefs, and it was really interesting to me because, you know, I love ancient cultures. I'm fascinated with ancient cultures. I was having dreams of the cenotes and the ruins and Shak and Kukulkan and all that stuff before I came down here. That's actually kind of how I decided where in the world I was going to relocate to. But I was watching documentaries. I was just like, I want to learn everything I could about the Mayans. And then for a couple of months this summer, I was teaching ancient history courses online to like middle schoolers, and we took like virtual field trips to Chichen Itza, you know, and I had studied the official history of the Mayans. And then to meet people who are carrying on the stories from their ancestors who are Mayans was really, really very interesting. And I was actually kind of shocked and surprised to see how many of their beliefs resonated with beliefs like ancient Irish, ancient Celtic beliefs that I have studied in the past, okay? And then also just messages that I've gotten from my guides. Now I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a message, okay? This is just a download that I got quite some time ago. I'm gonna share this with you. It's a theory, it's a hypothesis. Let me get my eyeballs out because I wanna look at you guys when I say this, okay? They have these burial mounds in ancient Ireland, right? Okay, where, what is the name? I don't know the name of them, but basically, I don't know if they were really burial mounds, but they were underground locations, okay, that were built in order for essentially like the shamans could go into this underground construction and meditate, and it was their passageway to the other world, okay? And there's a belief amongst the ancient Mayans that many of the cenotes in the area were believed to be passages to the other world, okay? There's also inside many of these temples are chambers that I believe were built specifically for sound healing, but also for meditation and for astral travel. I personally have received the message, and I think it has something to do with the work that I'm meant to be doing, that there were portals between the Mayan and the ancient Irish world through which shamans could communicate with one another. And they could share knowledge, they could share healings, they could share abilities. I feel like the galactic guides, so to speak, that were assisting and supporting both of those cultures had a common origin, all right? By the way, this guy, when we were sitting there talking next to this church, and he's like, oh yeah, the Mayans went to Mars. No, I don't think Mars. Went to Venus, went to the Pleiades. They definitely did some space travel. So that was really, really cool. I've actually heard that from several people who are of Mayan heritage, okay? That there is this belief. They're like, oh yeah, the Mayans definitely did the space travel. They definitely communicated with beings from other planets, star systems, however you want to articulate that, okay? But I believe that there were portals between the Mayans and I guess maybe do I want to say like the Druid people of ancient Ireland. There were portals in their sacred spaces, in their actual physical sacred spaces. They could open up these portals, and oh wow, beautiful circle that we made right there. And essentially Spirit saying that's what you're doing. Oh my gosh, are they mating now? Wow, that's beautiful. These two lizards are getting it on. Go you. I'm gonna just let them be, okay? That's what you're doing when you create that sacred space in your inner self. That sacred space, they're really having, okay, wow, they're just like traveling together while they're doing the thing. It's not my business. All right. That's what you're doing when you create that sacred space, okay? When you go within and you create that sacred inner space for where your guides can meet you and communicate with you and just commune. I like the word commune. You can come together with your guides in that sacred space, because essentially what you're doing when you create that space is you're opening up a portal and allowing that energy to flow through, okay? Portals were something that was really hugely on my mind when I first got down here, and understanding how they work, understanding the chakras as portals, understanding dreams as portals, readings as portals, me talking to a camera and this conversation being received by you at some other space and time. This is a portal, okay, that we've opened between the two of us. And it's really beautiful, and I'm really, really glad to have you guys here with me today. Thanks for letting me ramble on. I'm gonna go ahead and get in that ocean now. I think, do we have, all right, yeah. We have some other visitors here. They look like potentially fellow gringas and gringos, so we might have a conversation and just kind of get to know each other. I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna get my chakras cleansed. I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here, and I hope you have a great day. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, please drop them down below. And of course, as always, if you want a reading or a spiritual guidance session with me, all that information you need is at soulschoolspiritual.com. I love you guys. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you again real soon. Bye.